what do you do? You've spent hours, if not days, to find the perfect blend between design and information. And you finally found the one that you could say, yes, this is the one. So you muster your courage, you present the report, and you get a fabulous response back. We love it. It's great. It's something we never had before. But we had a thought, could we add this information? And trust me, after I've created hundreds of reports, it will happen almost every time. So what do? You start thinking, oh, I have to start all over again and find the space to put all that information in, and I'll have to redesign everything. Now, what if I tell you that the solution is very simple and only requires 10, maybe 15 minutes of your time? Let me show you what I would do in a situation like that. Let's assume we have this scenario. We have a line chart that shows the trend of sales by month, but your shareholders would like to see orders as well and quantity. So you'll think to yourself, you know what? I'll select the visual, I'll add the orders, and I'll add the quantity. Oh, you can't do that because you see the y-axis might be different from sales to quantity to orders. And it will look like this, and obviously there's absolutely nothing you could do with this to analyze information. What can you do? Simple. You go to the modeling tab and you add yourself a new field parameter. Let's rename this one parameter 1 for the sake of the exercise, and we will select the KPI measures that we want to use: sales, orders, and quantity. Make sure you add a slicer to the page and hit create. Let me move the slicer in the center. Now, of course, instead of using the measures, sales, orders, quantity, you only need to use the parameter 1. So let's remove quantity and order, and then instead of sales, we will select the parameter from the parameter 1 that we've just created. You'll say, well, it looks the same. Wait a second. If you select sales, it will show you sales. If you select orders, it will show you orders. But if you have no selection, it will show all three of them. So, what can you do? Solution is again really easy. With the slicer selected, go to the slicer settings, selection, single select. Bada bim, bada boom, exactly what you wanted. But there is only one problem with the visual for now. If you look at the selection that I'm doing now, orders or quantity, the title stays the same. So the solution will be to create a dynamic title. So let's create a new measure. We'll call this one title, and it equals to selected value. And then we will choose the parameter 1. Let's put it to the test. Drag the title measure to the middle of the canvas. Oh, error. Let's see. The column that we're trying to use as a selected value is part of a composite key. But you can't use composite keys to create title measures, aka text. So here's the solution for that. Go to the table view, select your parameter table, and after the parameter order, type this, comma, open quotation marks, type in the name of the measure, close the quotation marks, and then let's copy it again for orders and for quantities. We'll change this to orders and this one to quantity. Now let's rename value 4 to name, and let's go back to our report. Let's go back to the title measure, and instead of the parameter 1, we will choose name. And all of a sudden, it works. Now let's play a bit with the title and say selected value, and then we want to add a bit of text, and between quotation marks we will say space, and then trend by month. Close the quotation marks, press enter. Perfect. Let's select the visual, go to title, click on effects, and we'll change the first month short with title that we've created before. Press OK, and it works like a charm. This looks absolutely perfect and it does what we wanted. But let's have the next scenario. Let's say they will ask you, how do orders influence sales, or how do quantity influence orders? How can we do that? Well, we can't do that because you saw we have different y-axes. But I have a solution for that as well. I've created myself year-over-year measures for the sales, the quantity and the orders. If you want to know how to create the year-over-year measure in a proper way without comparing apples with oranges, well, I'll put a link in the description box below on a video on how I create my year-over-year measures. Now let's duplicate this page and try it again. Let's delete the title. Now we want to create a new parameter. So let's go to the modeling tab, new parameter, fields, and we will select the year-over-year measures, sales, orders, quantity, and we'll rename this as parameter 2. Hit create. Perfect. Let's delete the first slicer. Let's drag the new one in the middle. Now instead of parameter 1, we need to select parameter 2. All of a sudden it looks a lot better, right? You can see all three measures all on the same visual and they make sense. Their y-axis is the same. But we do have a problem. If we look at the title, we only have the text bit, not the selected value. If we select the value, again nothing. Why? Because on the new parameter we haven't created yet the field required. So let's go to table view, select parameter 2. We'll repeat the same steps as before. So we will say year over year sales. Copy this to orders and to quantity. Orders, quantity. Perfect. It's called name. Let's go back to our visual. We'll create a new title just for the sake of the exercise. New measure, title 2, and it equals to selected value. We'll select the name from the second parameter and trend by month. Let's press enter. Let's put it to the test as well before. Okay, no selection, trend by month. If we have a selection, it shows what it needs to show. If we have more than one selection, again, we don't have the selection shown. Now this happens because selected value only shows true, hence the value, when there is only one selection. When you have multiple selections, it will show a blank result. Well, we need to concatenate the selected values, which kind of tells us what we need to use. Let's quickly make a new measure. We'll call this one title 3 and it equals 2. And first we need to create a variable that returns our selections. So we'll select the var. We will name it selection and it equals 2. And like we said, concatenate tells us everything. So we'll use concatenate x. And you see it asks for a table, and this will be the parameter 2. And then it will ask for an expression, and in our case it will be the name from the parameter 2. And then it will ask for the delimiter, and we will do in between quotation marks, comma, space, close the quotation marks, and then if you want you can order it in a certain way. So we will use the name again as sorting option. And now, like any measure that contains variable, we need to return a result. And the result will be selection and in between quotations mark, space, trend by month. Let's close the quotation marks, press enter. Let's delete this title 2, let's add title 3 to the table. Oh, perfect. Year over year orders and year over year quantity, exactly the selection we have. Let's add sales, it works as well. Let's do no selection, it shows all of them. you do any selection, it only shows what you've selected. So let's go to title. Let's change our measure from title to title 3. Let's delete this one. And see, this might be exactly what the shareholders were after. Say you have all the information, you can do comparison between sales and orders, you can do comparison between sales and quantity, and you can see if any of them are influenced by the others, let's say orders and quantity. So we can see most of the times the quantity influences the orders, but is not necessarily a given. With this information, now you can go further and explore the dataset and see why we have these influences or we don't. But if you want to see other ways in which you could use sparklines, then watch this video right here where I add a sparkline to a KPI card. That visual works very well with a year-over-year comparison used like this. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and subscribe and share the video with someone who needs to see it. Until next time, this is Stelian signing off. Cheerio!